Hey guys, this is Emily, and you're listening to Full Body Frights. This is a special Christmas edition, and it's also the first episode of our new podcast, Gag Me With a Knife, which will be myself and my friend Alex discussing slasher movies every week starting January 20th. So let's get it going.
He sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake.
Or he'll gag you with a knife. Hey, it's Emily and Alex coming at you with an episode of Gag Me With a Knife. We're going to be talking about To All a Good Night from 1980 because it's Christmas, and this is a Christmas horror movie. So I'm going to read the back of the VHS. It says, "'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the house a creature was stirring. It promises to be an exciting holiday for the 5 young girls, boarders at the exclusive Calvin Finishing School. They have just drugged their house mother and smuggled in their boyfriends. A Christmas vacation frolic awaits, that is, until night falls. During the party-filled night, members of this fun-loving clan disappear one by one. In a series of grisly scenes, a mysterious, masquerading, and mad Santa Claus hacks away at their ranks. The absence of their missing friends is overlooked at the next day's picnic until one of the girls stumbles across Ralph Kramer. Someone has taken an axe to his head. The police are notified and everyone is confined indoors, but with the coming of night, the bloodbath continues. The murderer's victims meet their gory deaths as the maniac carries out his horrific handiwork. The final hair-raising chase scene filled with a suspense and chilling twist will leave you shivering for many nights to come." So that gave a lot. What do you think of this?
Well, okay, so even though this isn't the best killer Santa Claus movie that I've ever seen, it's not the worst, and I did like it for just a few reasons, and the main reason is probably just like I like all these 80s slashers is a bunch of horny teens drinking and doing drugs, and then if it's at a finishing school, that's just a bonus for me. And since this is at the finishing school, and they're in like the sorority, I guess that's sororities, because it does start out with a
sorority. The first line of the movie is sorority.
Oh, yeah. Totally a sorority then. So, and it's not really original in the sense that there's a hazing prank gone wrong. So tale as old as time, right? There are some pretty unique deaths in this, minus the opening scene death where it's clearly the dummy from Sears store window, just falling off of a ledge with the worst wig I've ever seen.
Fact.
And sorry, but I do think a killer in a Santa costume is cool. As cliche as clearly it is for a holiday horror movie, I think it's cool. And then there was a couple semi-groundbreaking reasons that I really thought this was an interesting movie. First that it takes place at a sorority, which allows it to borrow some elements of Black Christmas from '74, which was a pretty iconic and a staple of a Christmas movie. And even though it came out 4 months before Friday the 13th, that shocked me learning that after the fact, because I kept thinking the whole time, revenge kill for a child horror movie, but this came out before Friday the 13th. And it was a female female killer, which is a huge deal. At this point, I don't even know.
It's kind of a female serial killer.
Yeah, and at this point, I mean, because Pamela Voorhees hadn't really happened yet, and I don't know that we've seen a female killer other than Norman Bates cross-dressing, which isn't really a female either. I mean, and it was pretty iconic to me because Silent Night, Deadly Night, which is one of the most popular Santa costume killer movies, hadn't even come out for 4 years. So this had a lot of new stuff, I think, in the horror genre for me, and that's why I thought it was pretty cool. What about you?
Yeah, I thought that I did think it was pretty insane. I mean, it's kind of insane when you think about it, that it came out before Friday the 13th, just because, I don't know, besides Halloween, you haven't really seen that much in the way of stalking and killing with a mask on. And in this one, you've never seen this whole revenge then with a mask on like you do in in the other Friday the 13th, not in the first one. But
right.
Yeah. And I also thought it was cool that it happens over 2 days because in pretty much I get, well, not in Black Christmas, but in a lot of horror movies, it's over just like one night of a party. And in this one, they like wake up the next day and they have a whole day of insanity and like finding that body and all that. So I thought that was really cool. And I thought the deaths were pretty, I mean, they were, you remember them better than I do, but I do know that it was more gory than other movies that came out kind of around that time, besides Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th was pretty gory, but like, um, now I didn't like the lead character at all. So, and I don't know if you agree with me on that, but I don't know. I just thought the whole character was confusing. At first, I would say it was miscast, but it wasn't, because she's clearly saying what she's supposed to be saying in the script. But it sounds like the role was like she was supposed to be like a young girl that was at the sorority for some reason, because she acts like a 12-year-old or something. I don't know. It was very confusing. And they treat her like a 12-year-old too. They're like, oh, one day you'll be cool like us. And she's like, there's no reason I don't know. She's not like, she doesn't seem like she's the outcast. She seems like she's just not old enough to be doing what they're doing, but she is. It was just confusing. So,
well, I think her acting in this, first of all, I think this was her debut, which is
no, I mean, I don't think her acting was great in it. I'm not saying that, but I do think the script was not great either. So
the script wasn't great, and she couldn't deliver, and it could have been something along the fact that, she basically went anorexic and starved herself and lost like a whole person in body weight, and she's probably weak as hell.
Oh yeah,
she probably it was just
she had lost, like, someone told her to lose weight, so she lost like 65 pounds or something like that. Like,
that is
God,
insane.
what was she before, and why? Because I was like, well, if she was that much over, because that if you had to lose 65 pounds, and she had to have been overweight when they were like asking for her to do, when the woman wasn't it the woman that played the mom suggested that she be in that role? I think it was. Yeah. And so, like, why was she even okay, this is going to sound awful because it's going to sound like I'm body shaming, but in this time period, they did not, if you were even slightly overweight, you're not going to be asked for roles, in movies, unless it calls for like a overweight girl, to be like the comedic foil or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
And clearly that's not it. So why was this woman even saying, oh, you should hire this girl if she was that overweight? I don't know. That whole story is confusing to me, because I'm just like, now
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It sounds rude now for me to say that, but I'm saying in the context of the 80s, when they had everyone being like anorexic skinny, why would you even suggest this girl that had to lose 65 pounds for the movie? I mean, like, and
she was only like 165 pounds or 160 pounds to begin with. That's not anything. Like, I don't.
I weigh more than that. I'd love to weigh it. Well,
me too.
Yeah, I was like about to say, I don't weigh that much more than that, but I mean, like, I would like to weigh 160 pounds.
Whatever. If someone told me to lose that much weight for a Christmas movie now, I'd say, bye. I'll make my own Christmas porn on OnlyFans. Thanks.
I know. Like, I mean, and also, did you really think this was a big break? I mean, like, what horror movie was coming out? I mean, I guess Halloween had come out, but that was 2 years before, so I don't know.
I will say that, she might have thought in her mind, even before Candace Cameron Bure became, Hallmark Christmas queen and legend, this girl, I forget her name, Jennifer Runyon, she stars in 3 Christmas movies throughout her life. This one, then she went in to be in A Very Brady Christmas. She was the only, I think,
she's Cindy.
Yeah, she's the only non-returning original cast member to be in it.
I remember her in that too.
Yeah, and then this like a few years ago, she was in Silent Night, Bloody Night 2 revival. So, no Candace Cameron Bure, but here we are. Maybe she has aspirations. Or she's a masochist. I don't know.
True. Or Brinks, isn't it Brinks Stevens that was in Slumber Party Massacre? She plays Linda. Yeah, she's been in a few. I've watched a few movies recently. She was in Mrs. Claus, which was, anyway, she's in a bunch of really bad movies now. But I mean, maybe that's what Jennifer Runyon's doing now. I don't know.
And you mentioned about some of the gory scenes and stuff for the kills, and this was around the time before Reagan's influence on the MPAA and like all the stuff that went through to kind of like censor out a lot of the, like, they were right on the cusp, I think, of what could make it into a movie and what couldn't make it into a movie. So the effects person on here, it had some really cool stuff. It wasn't as incredible as I've seen other movies, but it was still pretty freaking cool stuff going on here.
Yeah, and I think also I have to think that David Hess got some of this stuff from when he worked on Last House on the Left with Wes Craven. Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine that David Hess, and well, he was in stuff after that. He was in like what was that exploitation movie he was in? Like House at the Edge of the Park, where he played pretty much the same character as he did in Last House on the Left. And so I can't imagine that he didn't get some ideas from that, but I feel like it's shocking that this was David Hess in a way, though, because it wasn't as in some ways it wasn't as like over the top cruel, but then in some ways it's kind of a nasty like nasty movie, as in like just kind of mean.
Yeah,
so I guess it does make sense.
I could definitely see some of David Hess's
the meanness at the, throughout the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I say that only because, well, I say that just in the fact that
I changed my mind mid-sentence. I was like, well, it's not me, and then I was like, well, never mind, it is. Because like the girl that goes crazy and starts like dancing and singing and stuff, like that's never resolved at all.
I think her name was like Leah or Tina.
Leah. Lei. It's spelled different though, but it's spelled like Leia or something like that. But yeah, like that's never resolved. You leave the movie and you're just like, okay, well, she's fucked up forever, which is kind of the feeling you get at the end of the movies he acts in, where you're like, oh God, this doesn't give me a good feeling.
Yeah, exactly. It's a better feeling though than, again, the very beginning, the clear dummy from the Sears window display. But then
that is so bad.
But then basically soon after that, I mean, it was clear to me that this was Miss Jensen the entire movie, and they spoil it by putting a picture of the girl in the room. It's like it could have been like a little homage or a memorial tribute to a fallen house daughter or whatever the house mothers call their sorority girls. Maybe it was a tribute, maybe not, but I was like, this is 2020, 1980. I'm like, this is clearly Mrs. Jensen. And they also, I thought, went out of the way to make it sound like it wasn't her. What really made me sick, and I laughed so hard, the way that she acts this whole movie while she's, the house mother in character, it's almost as if her audition, they told her, prepare an audition for the Waltons or Leave It to Beaver. Like, you're totally not in the right mindset to be a house mother. Like, you're acting this wholesome other way. So to flip it on us and be Santa, I don't know. Yeah, it was. I wasn't fooled, but I know people were fooled. And at the time, that would have totally fooled me, because a female killer, even if it was a partial killer, was totally new, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any. I know, because I'm not going to count Norman Bates dressing up like his mother as being a female killer. I can't think of any like where the female ends up being like the killer before this. But I mean, yeah, and I don't know. I knew that she was the killer already, so before I watched the movie.
Oh,
so
yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if I would have bought it or not. I don't think I would have. Knowing me, I wouldn't have noticed that was her picture I mean, I know it shows it on purpose, but I would have just not been paying attention probably, and I wouldn't have seen her picture in her room, honestly. Even though I realize they stick on it for a long time, and it's like, okay,
like, and then
what
that's
other
what I was
purpose would that have?
Yeah, exactly. And can we also take a second to talk about? Do you remember Tina Ronsoni? Do you remember her? She's this cuckoo, like 50-year-old woman that kind of comes in and hangs out and then leaves.
Yeah, she's like, I think her actual title is the superintendent or something like that. Like this, because do you remember near the end, she's like, when the superintendent gets back, or she calls her something like that. I think that's who that is, but I'm not really sure. The only reason I thought that is because they brought her back up, or they said something about the superintendent or something like that later. But I mean, they don't say it's her. So but I was like assumed, because that's the only other person we've seen.
I got you. Yeah. And like I liked her. She made me laugh so hard because she's like the queen of shade. She's basically Real Housewife of this sorority almost in terms of her sass. She's just basically calling everyone trash and waste of life, like while they're in the room as if they're not in the room. She's just like, she's just grilling people. And I was just like, this girl's awesome.
Yeah, and also, what about the character that we're not supposed to? I guess, well, the one they call out on the back. It's like, and then Ralph was found. I'm like,
Ralph
well,
the
why?
caretaker.
Yeah, it's like, well, what's up with him? Like,
Well, he's creepy as hell, but he just bursts into, some girl's room. I like cherry pie. Like, what?
yeah,
What?
yeah. I'm like, well, obviously they were trying to, make us think he was going to be the killer, but like, who was going to really think? I guess, well, I mean, I don't know. Back then, maybe, but I mean, that's just so obvious. So why would you
And
ever think he was?
and he had white hair, and they had him wearing red already. They
Yeah,
were
yeah,
giving us
yeah.
a lot of red herrings to be him. And then I was gonna say, what's interesting is his name's Ralph. This is before Friday the 13th. Also
Yeah,
crazy.
that
Ralph.
is weird.
That's a
That
weird
is.
to play the same type of character, sort of, because as the movie kind of goes on, Ralph looks a little. He looks like he knows what's going on. He looks sad, like the day after when the four of them are at this table, kind of hanging out, and like, well, I'll go wake up the rest of the gang and get them all here. And like, it's almost like he knows something. I don't know,
Yeah, he
or
does.
he's not
He seems
smart.
like the same character,
Yeah,
like
and then
a doomsday prophet.
oh yeah, because when he just climbs in that girl's room and warns her, like creepy as hell. And then he's in another girl's room later on. It's the girl's room that has like a billion potted plants hanging from the ceiling. First of all, what the fuck is Poison Ivy attending this Calvin School for Girls? I mean, because who hangs a bunch of potted plants? And how do you water that? I mean, whatever. I had too many questions about that room.
Yeah, I think I was. But what's funny is when I saw that room, I was like, oh, that looks like rich. I mean, I was like, God, I can never have. And I thought about how I could never have a room like that.
Like, let's just hang monkey grass from potted plants from the ceiling like everywhere. Like,
His room was, and also, wouldn't that be really messy? Like, I mean,
I think it was.
you'd have to like sweep up all the time.
I think it was Trisha's room, and that would make sense because she's this fake British girl, or maybe she was British. I don't know. All I know is the first time we see her at the very beginning, she's leaning over the ledge in in one of those. It's like almost like a Flashdance style sweatshirt where like it's like a low cut off one shoulder, and her boob is literally like 100 or 98% flopped out over
Yeah.
the railing. And I'm like, are you supposed to be British with this huge titty? What's happening?
Yeah, and then let's talk about the guys a little bit about how what is okay, listen, I know that guys are assholes or whatever, or especially in these movies. But what's up with the nice guy?
Alex?
What? Yeah, and cuz he's with this other girl the night before, and then he's like, "Oh well, don't care." Like she gets murdered. He doesn't even care. He's just like,
Well,
"Okay, I'm going to go on to this girl that's acting like she's 12."
yeah, Alex is with Melody the night before, and then TJ is with
Oh, TJ gets with her the next day.
TJ's with Leah the night before. Well, then Leah ends up going for the police officer.
Yeah, and so he goes with
the next
Melody.
day. So then he goes with Melody, and then Alex goes with Nancy. Jennifer.
But I don't think they really know though that he went with Melody. It just seems like Alex doesn't care
It seems like trading sorority. It seems like trading hoes over here. Like I don't know.
But you understand TJ because I mean, well, still it's rude, but you hear him or you see him hear Leah with the police officer. There's like a little scene where he hears
Right.
them. So he's like, okay, well, now I'm free to go be with other people.
And while yeah, and you to pass up on TJ, he's like, ooh. Sorry, I thought he was hot.
He was hot. Alex was
with the
more
police
of my
officer.
type, but
Oh, there was a scene with Alex later on. When is it? Like they're doing alcohol or not doing alcohol.
They're doing alcohol.
I meant to say they're no, like, oh shoot. Oh, he basically says, I had too much to drink. And he's like holding this towel in his hand or a shirt. And he's like wringing it out. And his name's Alex too. So I couldn't help but be reminded of a time I might or might not have done shrooms and was wringing out the collar of my neck for like 2 hours before having a midlife crisis and trying on women's business suits. You might or not. For legal purposes, you may or may
I
not have
might
been
or
there.
may or may have not have
You
been
may or
there.
may not have been there with me while I may or may not have been doing shrooms and having a complete meltdown.
Oh my
The
God,
way that
the women's business suits may or may not have been in your closet for unknown reasons.
I could have been, you know what? I could have been the killer in a serial in a movie. Like nobody would have suspected me in a freaking
But
suit.
it would have made sense at the end.
It would have made sense in the end. God.
Oh my God. Um, yeah, and so really, yeah, I think that I'm still stuck on Nancy though. I don't understand. I just don't understand
Oh,
her character.
it's like when
Just don't get
Nancy's
it.
with Alex and he goes, "You're cute," and then she goes, "I'd, I'd rather be beautiful." Like what? And well,
Yeah.
actually, nothing
Take
beautiful.
take your take your compliments where you get them.
Yeah, you're cute. Well, bye, bitch. I was just trying to like lay on some chivalry here and some compliments. Bye, then. I mean, I'll go back to
Yeah.
the melody, I guess.
I guess yeah, I won't, but oh, and yeah, I thought that whole like that whole thing was really cool. Did she bury all of them in the garden, or
Yeah.
just those two?
Well, and what is up with that? So that's when you know it's also a female. It's like, how do you have time to sit here and like bury everybody? Like, and the time that it takes to do all of this? Like, how is that effective time management and a proper use of stamina and energy when you're trying to kill everybody?
Yeah, and then we get to the end, and that goes I guess goes to the end where it's like, okay, well, who was doing what then?
So, and yeah, that's a good
Because
point.
I mean, spoiler alert, that there's another killer, and it's the cop, or not the cop that
No,
Leah.
it's the pilot.
No, it's not.
I thought it was the.
No, it's the head detective.
Oh, I thought it was the pilot. They look
No,
the same to me.
yeah, no, and that's Harry Reams, the porn star. The pilot is.
Right. That's why I thought
Yeah,
he
but
was.
he gets killed. He gets killed
Oh.
with Melody or whoever isn't it Melody that runs out there to get them? She's like, we need to leave, and
Oh, they get chopped up by the blades.
yeah,
I
that was the
forgot.
pilot too.
Well, I didn't. Well, see, and that's why I thought it was him later because we didn't see him get chopped up.
Yeah,
We
you
saw
do. You see him because he's in the cockpit, and then when it
you see Santa in the cockpit, and then but I thought that was the female, Mrs. Whatever at the time, Mrs. Jensen, and then you see blood splatter everywhere, but you don't see who got killed. Like it could have just been one. He could, the pilot I thought pushed her into it basically.
no,
But,
he dies because it's the detective. It's the one that's like, don't. When he tells the cops, he's like, don't leave this house.
is it the one sleeping with Leah?
No, he dies. I think
So there's.
it's
I
the
mean,
it's the detective.
he gets stabbed going into the bathroom.
Yeah, it's the detective that comes at like when it first happens, and he's the one that tells him to stay there.
Oh, him. See that detective, the other cop, and the pilot.
Yeah, it
to me,
seems like now you were probably really confused.
they all look like and I've been drinking a lot of wine. All three of those guys had the same kind of like longish, curly 80s hair. And, I also didn't watch a lot of 70s and 80s porn. So I didn't realize which one was the porn star. I was like, they all look like that porn star to me. I mean, I didn't know. So, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Oh, and so was that head detective actually, was that her husband?
I think you're supposed to think that. I don't
Like-
remember if they say it for sure, but yeah, I mean that's what you're supposed to deduct.
Okay. So yeah, you wonder then who is who. Well, that's a pretty big twist in that. That'd be like instead of having a sequel like Scream 2 or whatever, where it turns out being Billy's mother, it's like
Yeah.
that. The husband could have been a sequel. Well, oh my God, you killed my wife and my daughter in this previous movie. Now to All a Good Night Part 2, the husband, I was there and it has flashbacks. And then
He
we go,
does
"Oh my God."
explain. He does explain that he's Miss Jensen's husband.
That would have been really cool had they anticipated a sequel. I think.
I highly doubt. Well, they might have, but I don't know why.
Well, I do. It would have been sponsored by like Mayfield's because can we talk about real quick how much milk
Or
they're fucking
PBS.
PBS and
PBS,
Mayfield.
not PBS. PBS. PBR.
Oh, PBR. But
They're
before we
drinking that the whole time.
and they got some
Pabst
Budweiser
Blue
in here.
Ribbon. No, it's all Pabst Blue Ribbon. Every time they're drinking, I was like, Jesus Christ. Like, because that's what all my friends drink. So I was like, God.
I watched something recently that had Budweiser instead of PBR in it, and I was shocked because all 80s has PBR in it, except I thought it was this one.
No, this one has PBR because I noticed it a lot.
Yeah. But do you think this movie is related to Troll 2 because of all the fucking milk they're drinking? Like, or, this is a Christmas movie and we're supposed to like equate Santa with Christmas and cookies. So maybe since Santa's over here hacking and slashing and not drinking milk, we're just gonna make all these horny co-eds drink milk after they've been drunk all night long and have milk stashes through the new year. Like, I don't get it.
Isn't it mostly? I thought it was mostly Nancy who was drinking milk, and I just figured it was because she wanted her boobs. I don't know. She's a typical like 12-year-old who wants her tits to grow.
This is like a friggin' marketing ad for milk in this movie. I just feel like, and then when Nancy is drinking her milk, she's just slowly walking around the house, like casually listening to everybody fuck their brains out. And then that one girl walks out. She's like, "What are you doing, haunting the halls?"
Yeah, that's Leah. And yeah, it didn't take for her being a really strong character, like she is. I mean, before she goes through what she goes through, she's like a hard ass, And then like it doesn't take much that she just like has a psychotic break.
Well,
and she's just like dancing and singing.
Seeing your friend's head attached to the shower head upside down is pretty traumatic, I guess.
Yeah, that's true.
But then I don't understand why she wasn't killed because the cop she was having sex with gets killed, comes through the door, then she opens the shower curtain, sees.
Oh yeah, she does. In there, she's just fine.
You assume she's going to be killed because the Santa's right there, but then you see her later twirling around, looking like who did it and ran with makeup from Evil Dead. Like, who did this to you, and why are you wearing a white nightgown, and what's happening?
Yeah, I think that was a lot of David Hess wanting it to be a really depressing ending. That's all I can think of is that because that's what made it really dark for me. Is at the end it's like, oh well, she's still fucked up.
You know what made it dark for me?
The lighting.
The fact that the movie was dark as fuck, and like when they were outside, I kept asking my husband. I was like, is it daylight and they just have a dark filter over the camera? Because it was the brightest night that I'd ever seen, but then it's so dark in the house. I'm like, it doesn't work. Like, what is happening? Like with the balance.
What I've read is that originally the movie is like, and I should have I didn't watch my VHS copy. I watched it on Amazon. And the reason I did that is because of this. Well, that's not the only reason. A lot of times it was just easier, but a lot of times I'll watch the VHS copy just because I like the feel of that one. But it's like supposedly that transfer is so dark that you can't see what's happening in half the movie. So they probably when they I don't know who cared enough to like lighten it up, to put it out like that, but they probably took it and had to lighten those scenes, like bring up the light in it.
Yeah, it literally just looks like they're filming in sunlight and they put this little like
I thought so too.
It was so bizarre to me, but I guess they lightened it up after the fact.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can think of is because that was like the main well, it wasn't the only complaint people had with this movie, but it was one of the main ones when people like people that were into slashers were going back and watching it. They were like, you couldn't tell what was happening in half the movie because it was so dark.
Yeah.
Which happens there are a few movies that happens in. Twisted Nightmare is another one that happens in.
Yeah.
I mean, even Texas Chainsaw Massacre is there are scenes that in the original VHS copy you can't see. Like when Kurt's on the ground in the original like in my old VHS copy of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you can't tell like when he gets hit on the head and he's like, moving around on the floor. You can't see him, so you really don't know what's happening.
Yeah, and so I guess we're just right after Thanksgiving, and I'm thankful for the fact that we have high technology equipment now in production and production quality, because that could have, that was pretty bad in some of those movies back then. So and
that might not be the reason. That might have just been like, maybe they were trying to film it. I don't know, but that would be my guess, is that it was a really dark transfer, so they had to like lighten it up. But I don't really know. Yeah.
And also for Jennifer Runyon, part of her, I kept thinking it was like, again, drinking a lot of wine when I was watching this. But every now and then she would look to me and she'd like have like she'd be
look to you.
Yes, like she broke the fourth wall and looked into my soul and was like, ho 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 baby, and I'd be like, yeah, you're beautiful. But she looked to me like Courtney Thorne Smith every now and then. Did you see that at all?
I think she looks like Christy Swanson.
I can see that too. I can
Like,
see
and
that
not
too in this
Christy
movie.
Swanson in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but Christy Swanson era Pretty in Pink.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, when she like looks at, she looked exactly like that to me.
yeah. I can see that too. Um, but yeah, so I don't know. But uh, is there anything else we can talk about, or do you want to start talking about some of these deaths, or?
I mean, what I can't. Well, let's do
Well,
a. I'll do a little bit of the. Let's do a little bit of the fun facts
okay.
about it, because I mean there aren't that many. And we've already talked about a little bit, like how the woman Kiva Lawrence. I guess is that how you say your name,
I would,
Kiva.
yeah, I think so.
She plays the house mother, and she recommended Jennifer Runyon. And apparently, she was working. She was in a theater group with David Hess, so I guess that's how she got involved in the movie.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. So she recommended Jennifer Runyon. Now, who knows? I mean, I wish that when they gave that information, they gave like information as to how Kiva Lawrence knew Jennifer Runyon. Like, had she worked with her before? Like, because apparently it's this little fat girl.
Maybe they both
that needs
auditioned for the
Lisa.
Waltons together.
Yeah, I know, really. And she did she not kind of remind you of like an Ellen Burstyn? I mean, she's not as good of an actress, but didn't she kind of remind you of like an Ellen Burstyn, or like kind of, I don't know. She just kind of reminded me of someone like that.
She gave me like Ellen Burstyn meets um Charlie's mother from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory vibes.
Oh, I get that. Yeah.
Just the way that she was acting or something. I don't know. It was, but yeah.
Okay, so the crew slept. They stayed at the mansion because it was only 10 days that they was shot in, so it wasn't like a long shoot or anything like that. And apparently, Jennifer Aniston was dating the guy that played Alex at the time, of which this is the only movie he's been in. So, like, that's literally his only credit.
Maybe like his Tinder profile back in the 80s was like, hey, I want to do a movie, but like when I do this movie, I'm going to fall in love and
I
never
mean,
never do another one.
I wish there was more information on that too. Did they meet on set, or was he recommended because she was dating him? Because clearly, I mean, when I go to his like credits, he's not even on the crew on any other movies. He's just an actor in one movie, and this is it. And he wasn't bad looking, and he wasn't that bad of an actor. So I wonder if he like didn't want to act after this, or if he like just couldn't get jobs, or what the deal was.
But you got to give credit to the fact. So on IMDb, at least while he's only been in one credit, his photo is also the photo for Melody on the cast.
Oh yeah,
overview.
it is.
Like, so, you know, do you remember? It's kind of like, again, Alex. Oh my God. What was it? 6th, 7th, or 8th
Oh my God,
grade?
no, it was ninth grade.
9th grade, where I'm in the yearbook twice.
Yeah, I think it was, no, it was, yeah, it was ninth or 10th grade. I think it was ninth though, where you were in the yearbook for yourself and for Wilson Payne.
Yes. So again,
Poor Wilson. Poor
so-
Wilson gets his freshman yearbook, and your picture is in his play.
So Alex's photo was on this cast list on IMDb twice, and he had the shroom meltdown that I had.
Oh my God, that was so hilarious.
I'm in this movie, like in a past life, like before I was born again, and a few years after this movie came out. I think I was in this movie.
Oh my God, that was so funny though. I still feel bad for Wilson. Like, what do you think? And I never heard what he had to say about it afterwards. Like, did he give the yearbook back? Like, why would you even care to have the yearbook when you're not even in it? I mean, I think he was in it in other pictures.
Oh yeah, he was in it.
His main picture was a picture of you.
It was the same picture, 2 pictures over, but
yours
just
was, yeah, it's zoomed in.
A little bit. Yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway, back to.
And it seemed like someone did it on purpose. Like, you know, I mean, it seemed like it was done, but it wasn't done on purpose. But it seemed like it was like a prank.
Okay. Anyway,
Okay.
back to fun facts about the movie, not my horrible life.
Okay, so I'm gonna read this again about the weight loss because this is still insane, and I want everyone to think about this. Listen, I know America's overweight, but just think about this. And I guess we also don't know how tall she was, but in order to star as Nancy, Jennifer Runyon committed to losing the excess weight she had struggled with throughout her teens. By the time of filming, she had slimmed down from 165 pounds to 105 pounds.
Oh my God.
And I mean, okay, like, granted, she probably, like, I said I weigh more than that, but like I'm 5'7", and she probably is not 5'7". I would say she's probably like short because most actresses are like on the short. They're like 5'2", 5'3". So if she was like 5'2", 5'3", and weighing 165 pounds, that probably. I mean, she would have had to have been like visibly overweight.
Yeah, but maybe that's why they have her drinking milk the whole movie. It's a, rich source of calories and protein, and they're just trying to give her some healthy weight gain back and stay fucking like I don't even know that she has enough body fat in this movie to menstruate.
Well, 100. I mean, if she was short, that's not that much. But but 165 would be very noticeably overweight for like if you're short.
Did you see how tall she was?
No, but I would assume because most actresses are like, usually they're like 5'2", 5'3", 5'4", something like that. Where
Yeah,
like
she's 5'4". I just looked it up.
Yeah, it would be like visibly. I mean, I'm not thin.
And interestingly enough, too, like they didn't, there's a lot of boobs in this movie, and they didn't show hers. So it's like,
No.
So why would they why they made her lose weight? I don't
because
understand.
It was the 80s. But I don't. But I wonder if like that would have taken. It had to have taken a minute to lose 60 pounds. So how much in advance does she get this movie part where it's only a 10-day shoot?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how did they have this time to wait on her to lose all this weight? Or did she lose it before she got the role? Like, did she lose it right before?
David Hess, we have fucking questions for you.
Well, it says in order to star as Nancy, but then again, IMDb can be wrong, so that might not be the case. She might have just lost the weight beforehand.
Oh, that's true, but either way, David Hess, we still have fucking questions.
And then the other piece of trivia that I found is just says there's a clue at the beginning because her picture is in the woman's room. Well, I think that was on purpose. I don't think that's a fun fact.
I think that should be under like. I don't know what that should be under, but yeah, I think that was clearly.
I think that's just something that happens in the movie. And apparently, like, okay, so I think I was looking at the critical reception that this movie like gained, and someone like there are some people that called it undistinguished, cliched slasher, and then someone. The guy that wrote that Going to Pieces book, that slasher book, I've read it. I don't know if you have. I used to own it. I don't know what happened to it. I think it has Michael Myers on the front of it, and they had a documentary that came out based on the book. And the guy said that he noted the film as borrowing elements from Black Christmas, including the muted lighting and sets adorned in Christmas decorations. Well, no shit, it was set around Christmas.
Except for the fact it's in California, there's no snow, and even the music sounds like Jaws, and there's no like they could have given me some bells, some jingle jangles, like something Christmassy going on instead of Jaws music the whole movie.
I liked the music. I thought it was like, I thought there were times because I was trying to like, how David Hess wrote the song that plays in Last House on the Left.
Yeah.
And the road goes to that song or whatever. Isn't that the song?
I don't know the name of it.
Leads to nowhere. Isn't that the one like it goes like that?
I thought it was like now you're all alone or something.
Well, I think that says that too. I was just singing the part that I knew. But so and I thought that song was kind of goofy to have in a lot of the music in Last House on the Left is kind of like goofy. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like weird for the movie. So there were times where the music didn't fit what was happening in this movie, but it was like really synthy and like there were times it was kind of goofy. I thought it sounded very David Hess. I liked the music. I thought it was like real over the top synthy.
Yeah, and like whoever wrote the review of that it's cliche or whatever, this was 1980. There really weren't a lot of cliches to be set. Like looking back, it is cliche now looking back, but again, female killer, 1980. Yeah, you compare it to Black Christmas because there's girls in a sorority. Okay, that's quote unquote cliche, but like it really, and then like. And even John Carpenter's music hasn't been done to death yet. I mean,
yeah, and it says because the sets were adorned in Christmas decorations. Well, of course they are. I don't think that's cliched. I think that's just because it's set as a fucking Christmas movie. What are they supposed to do? Like, if it's a Christmas movie, they're not going to have any Christmas decorations. Like, then it's cliched to have Christmas decorations. Period. In life. I mean, like.
It's so true.
I mean,
I
okay,
love it.
Bob. Well, I about called him Bob Clark. That's not his name. That's the guy that did.
Bob
That's the
Clark.
guy that did. You know, he did Porky's too. Let's not forget. Adam Rockoff. That's his name. The guy that wrote the book about like going to pieces. I
Gotcha.
mean, and I think the muted lighting that he has an issue with, I think that's because they didn't have the money. I don't think that was really on purpose, but whatever. That's just my opinion. And he said that the twist ending was ineffective. Well, that might be true, but that's because the whole movie's ineffective.
It's true.
But I mean, and so now I guess I agree with him that it's not that great of a slasher movie, but for all completely different reasons that he thinks. I don't mind the muted lighting. Obviously, the sets are going to be decorated Christmas because it's fucking Christmas. So that's not the reason I don't like it. The twist ending's ineffective, but I mean, like,
Well,
it's not, I don't think it's the ending that's ineffective. It's just none of it really like carries.
I think the ending is ineffective because there is literally like zero suspense in the movie, and like even though we don't know who it is,
Well, you didn't even realize who it was. You didn't you didn't even until we were talking just now. You didn't even realize it was the detective.
I mean, I knew it was one of those three men, but I thought that was like the same man at some point. Like I thought they were just like, I got like, but like. The lighting and the music also help make the suspense not be there in the movie. So yeah, again, the whole movie is sort of muted in a sense. It could have been better, but it was still, I thought, pretty groundbreaking in terms of what it did do.
Yeah. I think
And
it's completely
it has like 15 kills in it. That's a fucking lot of kills. 15 deaths.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So yeah, so then so what else do you have for that before we go into some of these kills?
Oh no, I have. That's all I have. That's all the trivia. So
Okay.
you go in. Alex is gonna coming at you with the kill list. Alex.
Well, yeah, coming at you with the kill list, but I'm gonna hopefully jog your memory and get your reaction on them. So the very opening scene, prank girl. Okay, we don't know her name. Prank girl falls over the ledge looking with a Dolly Parton wig and a dummy. So that's about all I know. I don't even know how she falls over the ledge. But that's a bad poor. That's a poor. What do they call that? A Juliet window or something? That's a poor Juliet's window.
Oh my god.
Bad craftsmanship.
Oh my god. Yeah, that dummy is next level. I can't.
And then I think number 2 to kill. His name's Paul. He's out there waiting on. I don't know. I guess is it Trisha? He's waiting on Trisha to come. Wait, no, Trisha's later. He's waiting on some girl to sneak out and meet him, and I don't know her name. But he's over here smoking a little cig, and then the killer is walking through this grass that looks like the friggin' plains of Africa with like the grass. Like it's like all this tall, luscious grass. Like they need to. Ralph is slacking. He ain't.
Sam
really
and Blake are the first two.
I thought his name was Paul.
Oh wait, no, that's I don't know.
Whatever his name is, because she's over there saying, "Paul, go away! I'm at the window." She opens the window and keeps saying, "Paul."
Oh, okay.
I swear there's a Paul.
I don't know. I think I ran too far up in the movie.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know his name. Either way, this guy.
Oh, it just says Cynthia and her boyfriend.
Yeah,
so
I think she.
it
Yeah.
might be
Okay. Okay. So he doesn't hear this person sneaking up on him like a cheetah or a tiger, and I mean it's just crazy to me. But then he gets muzzled for like 10 seconds, and I guess he gets stabbed in the neck or the chest. I don't know, but he was dumb. Then
he was dumb.
Well, then Cynthia going out to meet him, like she just walks outside, strutting her stuff, looking like, whatevs. And she starts getting stabbed in the chest, but she just sits there on the ground flailing for like 25 seconds. And I was like, ho, 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 hurry the fuck up.
Yeah, true.
And die. Then we get Trisha. I think she gets her throat slit. However, she should have had her tongue cut so that even in the afterlife, she's not touting this horrible accent. I mean, it was bad. And is she the one they find? No, they find Cynthia in the trash can, right? And then that's when Trisha gets her throat slit. I think she walks up and finds that girl stuck in the trash can. Stuck in the trash can in the closet. Um, then there's this guy in this horrible Hawaiian shirt because he looked like the shirt that Chunk's wearing in Goonies. His name's Tom, I think, looking for Trisha, and he gets his head bashed in with a rock. That was pretty cool. And I think that's when we realize that she's burying the bodies after she does these outdoorsy kills.
Sorry, my mom called me and I was listening to a voicemail. Sorry. She was asking if someone had big feet.
What?
My mom just called me and she left a voicemail and I was worried that it was my grandmother was like dead or something. So
I hate you.
She was just asking if someone had big feet. I'm sorry.
You should say, yeah, someone with big feet's talking to me on a podcast right now. I gotta go.
No, I did. I said that.
Oh my God, I hate you again.
No, go ahead. No, I was listening. I just heard the big feet part. It was like in the transcript of what my mom was saying. So I was hilarious. Oh my God. Okay.
Then we go to this one couple, and they're just so cringy. At one point, before they have sex, he's like, "This better be worth the chase," and she's like,
"Oh my God!"
She goes, "It will be." I'm like, "Who are you? Like, what is this?" You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you?
Oh yeah, I do. I hated them.
So then, they're having sex, and he's really giving her his candy cane, and then all of a sudden, surprise! It's not Santa. There's a fucking knight in shining armor, like a suit of armor, in the corner that shoots him with a fucking arrow through his head.
Let's be real about this. Can we just talk about that for a second? About how I like how I'm reading. I was reading some of the critical reception. I mean, there's more. It's all bad. It's neither scary or satisfying. It's the kind of slasher that is nonsensical and grindingly dull, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, well that's fine. It's dull, whatever. Why is no one bringing up the fact that he has this huge costume change in the movie? That's kind of a big deal.
I really wish that the knight, the suit of armor would have been wearing a Santa's little toboggan or little hat
or
thing.
Something. Well, it should have been doing something. Why is he in a whole new outfit?
I think that might be why there were two of them, because right before this scene, you see the silhouette of Santa lurking around the corner or through the window or something, and then all of a sudden he's in a whole goddamn suit of armor.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then
but I feel like, why is no one having an issue with this? Like that, no killers have that big of a costume change. And how did he? I mean, I guess we don't know which one it was, but one of them, I guess he got his wife, or if it was the guy or the wife got the husband to help him put it on. You couldn't put that on by yourself.
Exactly.
And also, how do you move around, and how do you have aim with a crossbow with all that on?
And you go right through his eye hole from the back of his head.
Yeah, I know.
This guy probably, this guy probably couldn't even find her clit, and then this guy's over here shooting him with an arrow through his eye hole. So, to nobody's surprise, while she's being impaled, the guy that's having sex with her gets impaled with an arrow. Well, then she just gets her head cut off by Santa Knight's axe.
Yeah. I mean,
which will come back later. Her head. What
a stupid costume change.
So I think that was the last kill of the night, and then the next day begins, and they did a pretty good job of keeping it, like you said, keeping it in the day as well, because later on when they're just running around, they run into Ralph, whose head looks like he's been bludgeoned, but he also
that was effective for me when she runs into him. Now that part was good.
Yeah, it keeps it, instead of being like, wow, where did everybody go for a whole 20 hours? Okay, no, something's going on. And it puts the scare back into real life in the daytime. But can we talk about Ralph's face? How do you die with permanent O face? I mean,
maybe he came when he was dying.
Up there jacking off to those plants hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Then we get some random dude killed with an axe to the head. I don't know who he was.
Probably the other detective. So they had two detectives, or not detectives. They had two police officers watching the house. So probably the other one.
Okay, yeah, it might have been him. Then I think our 10th kill was that the cop that Leah was having sex with, stabbed in the back as she opens the shower curtain and sees the dead head of that one girl on her shower.
That part was good too. I liked when she found the head.
That was so cool. And but then it's like the scene it ends. Like,
Yeah.
no, like, hello. Like everybody, this sounds worse than it is. We want more head
Yeah.
explanations. There's a dead head on a shower head. And then there's just all this happening. Then Daddy TJ, the pilot. Mm. Also, how do you get a noose, like a wire noose around your neck while you're making out with somebody? I don't know how that happened, and like how it didn't tickle her nose, and she literally had no idea that the guy she's making out with like gets this like wire noose lowered
No,
around his neck.
no, it wouldn't happen. But garroting is always a cool death. So
It really is, and I guess that was probably one of the coolest garroted deaths, like, since, like, I like Crazy Ralph and whichever one he was at, the second one that happens to him, and
yeah,
I like that death, but yeah, like, that has to have been, well, I don't know who it could have been, but picking him up with Santa gloves on with this little wire rope,
had to have been the guy. So
yeah, I mean,
no
well,
offense,
I don't know. Miss Jensen was in there, at one scene. She's like, anybody comes and interrupts me, and she slams a rolling pin on her hand.
That's
She
true.
might,
That is
she,
true.
she might have some guns. And then I guess the next two deaths, Melody runs out because Melody just saw TJ killed in front of her, runs out, and it's clearly the daylight. Like, it is clearly daylight. And then her and the pilot, get chopped up in the plane propellers, which is really cool because chunks just go everywhere.
Yeah, I did. I like that. Yeah.
So cool. But also, you're a pilot, right? So then, like, why would you not have already repaired the plane that you're going to be supposed to be taking with? Like, what the fuck? It's about as hokey as a little bit before this, like, when they pick up the phone to call 911, they cut the phone lines. Like, what timing? It's trash. Trash timing is what it is.
Yeah.
Then the next two deaths are the killers. Miss Jensen falls over the ledge like mother like daughter, but I think it was actually the same Santa wig that the dummy's wearing at the beginning, but it makes sense because it's Santa.
Yeah.
God. And then the husband, shocker, dressed as Santa with I guess the pilot shoots him with an arrow, or somebody shoots him with an arrow. The cop.
The pilot's dead.
Yeah, so. Sorry. The cop shoots him.
Dead too.
So who shoot? Oh,
Alex.
Shoots him. Alex shoots him with an arrow. Shit.
Man, you were drunk.
Well, again, my notes when it comes down to these people, I have husband, pilot, cop. Like, they're used interchangeable.
Yeah, it is Alex.
I literally have question marks after I use the word pilot, cop, or husband. Everywhere I have question marks. So I'm like, who is it? Who are they? Like, I really never understood. But that's 15 kills. They're all pretty cool. There's a lot of blood in them. Pretty interesting kills to me. Anyway.
I agree. I thought they were good kills.
And they weren't shitty. Like, it wasn't like tacky, like with a sharpened candy cane or an icicle or gingerbread cookie cutters. Like, it wasn't like hokey Christmas kills. It was still valid, horrible kills. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And I thought the Santa Claus, did he have one of those like masks too?
It was like the Santa mask to make his face look all rosy and cheery.
Yeah.
And creepy.
That was creepy. So, and then you just have Nancy and Alex. They just leave, and they leave Leah there.
Taying in the wind.
I mean, how rude is that? I hope they were going to get some help for her, because she just is like sitting there singing.
I mean, she got dicked down a lot in less than 24 hours, and then sees everything that she sees. Again, I don't know why she put on this white billowy night robe or nightgown, but who knows?
Well, I guess there you have it.
There you have it.
That's the Christmas movie for the ages.
Really is. So everybody just stay gagged with Santa's sleigh.
Stay gagged with a candy cane. And catch us next time. We have tons more coming at you soon. 80s Gag Me with a Knife. See ya.
See ya.
Okay, before we go, sorry, we completely forgot to do our ratings for this movie. I'm going to give it out of 5 stars, 1.5. I did not, I probably would not watch again. So
I'm going to wholeheartedly agree, 1.5.
And that's actually being That's being nice, I think.
Yeah, and I think that it would be a 1-star for me had it not had I not if I didn't look back on this through the lens that
Oh,
it
that
was
hadn't been done yet?
the
Yeah.
groundbreaking, like hardly any of this had been done, contrary to that one guy's cliche um, statements. But like, yeah, a lot of this stuff was really new to the genre. A lot of it was tired and reused as well. But the fact, yeah, the stuff that was new enough to me to warrant another half star.
Yeah.
So
So 1.5 out of 5. Would not recommend, but you probably should watch once.
I mean, I would recommend for at least a one-time watch.
Well, yeah, okay. I wouldn't recommend for ever.
I mean, just get your eggnog and mulled wine and have a fucking great night.
Yeah, one time, one watch. All right, see you guys.
Bye.